Welcome to the channel. Have you ever walked into a room and noticed that some people seem to attract conversations without even trying? People walk toward them. People ask them questions. People laugh when they speak. People feel comfortable around them. And when they leave the room, people still remember them. Maybe you have wondered why. Maybe you've asked yourself, what do they know that I do not know? Why do people enjoy talking to them? Why do conversations with some people feel easy while conversations with others feel uncomfortable? And maybe you have experienced the opposite. You want to talk with people, but you do not know what to say. You worry that the conversation will become boring. You are afraid of saying the wrong thing. You ask a question and receive a short answer. Then suddenly your mind becomes completely empty. You start thinking, what should I say next? Maybe you try too hard to be funny. Maybe you talk too much because you are nervous. Maybe you stay quiet because you do not want to embarrass yourself. Or maybe you spend the entire conversation thinking about how other people are judging you. If this sounds familiar, then I want you to know something important. You do not need to become the funniest person in the room. You do not need to have an amazing personality. You do not need to know hundreds of interesting stories. You do not need to be extremely confident. And you definitely do not need to pretend to be someone you are not. The secret to becoming someone people want to talk with is much simpler. Make people feel comfortable. Make people feel heard. Make people feel respected. Make people feel interesting. And most importantly, be genuinely interested in them. Today we are going to talk about how you can become a person that people naturally enjoy talking with. We will talk about the habits that make conversations uncomfortable. We will talk about how to start conversations, how to keep conversations going, how to ask better questions, how to listen properly, how to tell better stories, how to become more confident, how to avoid awkward silence, and how to make people remember you in a positive way. By the end of this video, you will understand that great communication is not about talking more. It is about connecting better. So stay with me until the end, because the final lesson may completely change the way you think about conversations. Let us begin with the biggest mistake people make. They think being interesting means talking about themselves. When you meet someone new, you may feel pressure to prove that you are interesting. You may start talking about your job, your achievements, your experiences, your opinions, your hobbies, your plans. You want the other person to think that you are impressive. But there's a problem. When you focus too much on proving yourself, you stop paying attention to the other person. And people can feel that. Imagine meeting someone who spends the entire conversation talking about themselves. They tell you everything about their life. They interrupt you. They bring every topic back to themselves. They barely ask you anything. How do you feel after the conversation? Probably tired. Now imagine meeting someone who asks about you. They listen carefully. They remember small details. They show curiosity. They do not interrupt. They respond to what you actually said. How do you feel around that person? Probably comfortable. That is the first major lesson. People often enjoy talking to people who make them feel important. This does not mean you should become fake. It means you should become curious. Instead of thinking, how can I impress this person? Think, what can I learn about this person? That small change can completely transform your conversations. When you meet someone new, do not immediately worry about what you should say. Start by observing. What are they talking about? What seems important to them? What are they interested in? What emotions are they showing? Then respond to what they give you. This makes conversations feel natural. Now let us talk about listening. Most people think listening means staying quiet while someone else talks. It is much more than that. Real listening means paying attention to understand, instead of waiting for your turn to speak. Think about your last conversation. Were you actually listening? Or were you preparing your next sentence while the other person was speaking? This happens to many people. Someone is telling us a story, but instead of listening, we are thinking. I have a similar story. I know something about that. What should I say next? How can I make myself sound smart? Because we are preparing our response, we miss important details. Then the other person finishes speaking, and we respond with something that does not really connect to what they said. That makes the conversation feel disconnected. Good listeners do something different. They stay with the conversation. They notice details. They ask follow-up questions. They respond to emotions. They remember what was said. And they give the other person space. For example, imagine someone tells you, I started learning English last year, but I still feel nervous when I speak. A weak response would be, oh yes, I know English too. Or, you just need to practice more. A better response would be, what makes you feel nervous when you speak? Now the person has something meaningful to answer. Mabevsabev. I'm afraid people will laugh at my pronunciation. Now you can continue. Have you had a bad experience before? That creates a deeper conversation. Notice what happened. You did not need an amazing story. You simply followed their words. That is the power of listening. Now let us talk about questions. Questions are one of the easiest ways to keep conversations moving. But not all questions are equally useful. Some questions create short answers. Others create stories. For example, do you like your job? The answer may be yes or no. That conversation can end quickly. Instead, you could ask, what do you enjoy most about your job? Now the person has an opportunity to explain. You could ask, how did you get into that career? Or, what is the most interesting thing that has happened at work recently? These questions invite stories, and stories create conversations. One simple rule can help you. Ask questions that begin with how, what, why, when, or tell me about. For example, what made you choose that? How did you become interested in that? What do you enjoy most about it? Why do you like it? How did that experience change you? Tell me more about that. These questions encourage people to share. But there is another important point. Do not turn every conversation into an interview. If you ask question after question without sharing anything yourself, the conversation can feel uncomfortable. Imagine someone asking, where do you live? What do you do? How old are you? Where did you go to school? What are your hobbies? How much do you earn? That does not feel like a conversation. It feels like an interrogation. A good conversation has balance. You ask, you listen. You respond. You share. Then you ask again. Think of conversation like passing a ball. You pass the ball to them. They pass it back. You pass it again. If one person holds the ball the entire time, the game stops being fun. Communication works the same way. Now let us talk about something very powerful. Follow-up questions. Many people ask a question. The other person answers. Then they immediately change the topic. That is a missed opportunity. The answer usually contains several possible directions. Imagine someone says, "I went to Japan last year." You could say, "That sounds amazing. What was your favorite part?" They say, "Probably Kyoto." You could ask, "What did you like about Kyoto?" They say, "The temples and the atmosphere." You could ask, "Was it your first time visiting Japan?" Now you are having a real conversation. You did not need to prepare a list of topics. You simply followed the path created by the other person. This is one of the easiest ways to avoid running out of things to say. Listen for interesting details. Then explore them. Now let us discuss another powerful skill. Remembering people's names. When you meet someone and they tell you their name, try to use it naturally during the conversation. For example, "Nice to meet you, Sarah." Later you might say, "Sarah, what made you interested in that?" People appreciate being remembered. But do not overuse someone's name because it can sound unnatural. Simply make an effort to remember. And if you forget someone's name, do not panic. You can politely ask again. There is nothing embarrassing about forgetting a name. What matters is showing that you care enough to learn it. Now let us talk about eye contact. Good communication is not only about words. Your body communicates too. When someone is speaking, try to face them. Make natural eye contact. Do not stare intensely. Do not look at your phone every few seconds. Do not constantly look around the room. Your attention communicates respect. When you give someone your full attention, they can feel it. And when you constantly check your phone, they can feel that too. You are silently communicating. This conversation is not important to me. That is why one of the simplest ways to become a better conversationalist is to put your phone away. Be present. Listen. Look at the person. React naturally. Smile when appropriate. Nod when you understand. These small signals tell people, "I am listening." Keep talking. "I am interested." Now let us talk about smiling. A natural smile can make you more approachable. You do not need to smile constantly. That can feel strange. But when you genuinely enjoy meeting someone or hearing their story, allow your face to show it. Warmth makes people comfortable, and comfort creates connection. Now here is something many people misunderstand. You do not need to be extremely outgoing to be good at conversation. Quiet people can be excellent conversationalists. Introverted people can be excellent conversationalists. You do not need to dominate the room. You simply need to connect with the person in front of you. Sometimes the best conversationalist in the room is the person who speaks less but listens better. So, if you are naturally quiet, do not think you need to become loud. Instead, become attentive. Become curious. Become thoughtful. Your personality does not need to change. Your communication skills can improve while you remain yourself. Now let us talk about confidence. Many people believe confident people never feel nervous. That is not true. Confident people can feel nervous too. The difference is that they do not allow nervousness to completely control their behavior. If you are nervous when meeting someone new, remember something. The other person may be nervous too. They may also be wondering, what do you think of them? They may also worry about saying something awkward. They may also feel uncomfortable. So stop assuming everyone is judging you. Most people are thinking about themselves. They're thinking about how they look, how they sound, what they should say, whether they are making a good impression. When you understand this, you can relax. You do not have to perform. You simply have to connect. Now let us talk about the fear of awkward silence. This fear causes many people to talk too much. A conversation becomes quiet for a moment. They panic. They start saying random things. They speak faster. They ask unnecessary questions. And suddenly the conversation feels forced. Here is the truth. Silence is not always bad. A few seconds of silence is completely normal. You do not need to fill every second with words. Take a breath. Think. Look around. Then introduce a new topic naturally. You can say, "That reminds me. Speaking of that, I was actually wondering, have you ever, what do you think about?" These simple phrases can help transition between topics. You do not need a perfect sentence. You just need a bridge. Now let us talk about storytelling. If you want people to enjoy talking with you, you should learn how to tell simple stories. You do not need dramatic stories. Everyday experiences can become interesting when you tell them well. Instead of saying, "I went to the restaurant yesterday," you could say, "I went to this little restaurant yesterday and something really funny happened." Now people want to know what happened. A good story usually has a beginning. Something happens. There is a reaction. Then there is an ending. You can make stories more interesting by including details. Where were you? What did you see? What did you feel? What surprised you? What did you learn? But avoid making every story extremely long. One of the biggest storytelling mistakes is giving too much unnecessary information. People lose interest when a simple story takes 10 minutes to explain. Keep your stories focused. Give the important details. Let the other person respond. A good conversation is not a competition to see who has the longest story. Now let us talk about humor. You do not need to become a comedian. Trying too hard to be funny can actually make conversations uncomfortable. Natural humor works best. Notice funny moments. Laugh at yourself sometimes. Use light jokes when appropriate, but do not make other people the target of every joke. Never make someone uncomfortable just to get a laugh. The goal is to create warmth, not embarrassment. People remember how they felt around you. If they laughed naturally, if they felt respected, if they felt comfortable, they will probably enjoy talking with you again. Now let us discuss compliments. A sincere compliment can start a positive conversation. But there is a difference between a genuine compliment and empty flattery. Instead of saying, "You look amazing," "You are so talented," "You are the best," try something specific. "I really like the way you explained that. That color looks great on you. You have a really interesting way of thinking about this. I noticed how calmly you handled that situation." Specific compliments feel more genuine. But remember, do not compliment people constantly. You are not trying to win approval. You are simply noticing something positive and expressing it. Now let us talk about negativity. If you want people to enjoy being around you, pay attention to how often you complain. Everyone complains sometimes. Life is difficult. Problems are real. But if every conversation becomes a list of complaints, people may begin to associate you with negative emotions. Imagine meeting someone who constantly talks about how terrible everyone is, how bad their job is, how stupid their neighbors are, how unfair life is, how nobody appreciates them. After a while, you may feel drained. Now imagine someone who can talk honestly about problems, but also looks for solutions. They can laugh. They can appreciate small things. They can talk about goals. They can discuss ideas. They can admit when something is difficult without making every conversation negative. Which person would you rather spend time with? Probably the second. This does not mean pretending everything is positive. It means developing emotional balance. You can be honest about problems while still bringing warmth to conversations. Now let us talk about gossip. Gossip can create quick excitement, but it can destroy trust. If you constantly talk badly about people who are not present, others may wonder what you say about them when they leave. People want to feel safe around you. If someone shares something personal, do not immediately tell 10 other people. Respect privacy. Be someone others can trust. Trust is one of the strongest foundations of connection. When people know that you respect their privacy, they become more comfortable opening up. Now let us talk about judgment. Nobody wants to feel judged while speaking. If someone tells you an opinion that is different from yours, you do not always need to correct them. You can ask, "What makes you feel that way?" That does not mean you agree. It means you are curious. There is a difference between understanding someone and agreeing with them. Good conversationalists can talk to people who think differently. They do not immediately attack. They listen, they ask, they learn. They explain their own position respectfully. This makes conversations much more interesting. Now let us talk about curiosity. Curiosity may be the most important quality of a great conversationalist. Curiosity gives you unlimited conversation topics. If you meet someone from another country, ask about their culture. If someone has an unusual job, ask how they got into it. If someone enjoys a hobby, ask what they love about it. If someone recently traveled, ask what surprised them. If someone is building something, ask what inspired them. People have stories everywhere. You simply need to be interested enough to discover them. Now imagine entering a room with this mindset. Instead of thinking, "I hope people like me," you think, "I wonder what I can learn from these people." Instead of thinking, "What should I say?" you think, "What is this person interested in?" Instead of thinking, "How can I impress them?" you think, "How can I make them feel comfortable?" That mindset removes a huge amount of pressure. You are no longer performing. You are connecting. Now let us talk about remembering details. Suppose someone tells you that they have an important job interview next week. A week later, you see them again. Ask, "How did your interview go?" That simple question can have a powerful effect. Why? Because you remembered. You showed that the previous conversation mattered. Imagine someone remembering something you told them days ago. You would probably feel valued. This is one of the easiest ways to build strong relationships. Pay attention to small details. People often reveal what matters to them through casual conversation. Their family, their work, their goals, their hobbies, their worries, their dreams. Remember what you can. You do not need to memorize everything. Just show that you are listening. Now let us talk about giving people space. Sometimes people need to talk. They may have had a difficult day. They may be excited about something. They may simply want someone to listen. You do not always need to solve their problem. Sometimes the best response is, "That sounds really difficult. I understand why you would feel that way. What happened next? Do you want to talk about it?" Listening can be more powerful than advice. Many people give advice because they want to help. But sometimes people do not need solutions. They need understanding. Learn to recognize the difference. You can ask, Do you want advice or do you just want me to listen? That one question can prevent many misunderstandings. Now let us talk about interruptions. Interrupting is one of the fastest ways to make someone feel unimportant. Sometimes we interrupt because we're excited. Sometimes we interrupt because we are afraid we will forget our thought. But try to let people finish. If you have a thought, remember it. If it is important, you can say it afterward. Allow people to complete their sentences. It shows respect. It also helps you understand them better. Now let us talk about conversation balance. A healthy conversation should not be one person asking all the questions. It should also not be one person talking for 20 minutes. Aim for balance. Ask something. Listen. Respond. Share something related. Ask another question. This creates rhythm. For example, you ask someone what they did during the weekend. They say they went hiking. You say, I have always wanted to try that trail. What was it like? They explain. Then you can share a short story about a hike you took. Now both people are participating. That is connection. Now let us talk about making people feel accepted. You do not have to agree with everything someone says, but you can respect their right to have their own thoughts. Avoid making people feel stupid for not knowing something. Avoid laughing at someone's pronunciation. Avoid embarrassing someone in front of others. Avoid turning every conversation into a debate. People naturally move toward environments where they feel safe. If you become someone who makes others feel safe to speak, you become someone they want to talk with. Now let us talk about emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence means understanding emotions. Your own emotions and the emotions of other people. Pay attention to tone, body language, facial expressions, energy. If someone seems uncomfortable, do not push them. If someone becomes excited about a topic, you can explore it. If someone becomes quiet, you can give them space. Communication is not only about words. Sometimes the most important message is what someone does not say. Learning to notice these signals can make you a much better communicator. Now let us talk about becoming more interesting yourself. Remember, you cannot have interesting conversations if you never experience anything. Read books. Learn skills. Travel when possible. Try new hobbies. Meet different people. Watch educational content. Learn about history. Learn about science. Learn about business. Learn about culture. Develop your own interests. You do not need to know everything. You just need to be curious about something. A person who continues learning naturally has more things to talk about. Every new experience becomes another possible conversation. Every book gives you ideas. Every skill gives you stories. Every challenge gives you lessons. Every person gives you something to learn. So if you want to become more interesting, become more curious about life. Now let us talk about one of the biggest mistakes. Trying to copy someone else's personality. Maybe you see a charismatic person and think, I need to talk like them. I need to make jokes like them. I need to dress like them. I need to behave like them. But copying someone else usually feels unnatural. The goal is not to become a copy. The goal is to become the best version of yourself. If you are naturally calm, be calm. If you are naturally funny, use your humor. If you are thoughtful, be thoughtful. If you are quiet, be quiet. Improve your communication without losing your identity. People can sense authenticity. You do not need to perform. Be present. Be respectful. Be curious. Be yourself. Now let us talk about first impressions. When you meet someone for the first time, you have a limited amount of information. Your greeting matters. Your body language matters. Your facial expression matters. Your tone matters. A simple, "Hi, nice to meet you. How's your day going?" can be enough. You do not need a clever opening line. Warmth beats cleverness. A genuine smile and friendly tone can do more than a complicated introduction. Now imagine you meet someone at an event. Instead of standing silently with your phone, you could look around and say, "How do you know the host?" Or, "Have you been to this event before?" Or, "What brought you here today?" Simple questions work. The goal is not to create an extraordinary conversation immediately. The goal is to open the door. Once the door is open, follow the conversation. Now let us talk about ending conversations. Being a good conversationalist also means knowing when to leave. You do not need to continue forever. If the conversation naturally reaches a stopping point, you can say, "It was really nice talking with you. I hope you have a great evening." Or, "I enjoyed talking with you. Maybe we can continue this conversation another time." Ending positively leaves a good impression. It is better to end a good conversation naturally than to keep talking until it becomes uncomfortable. Now let us build a simple formula you can remember. Listen, ask, follow, share, connect. First, listen to what the person says. Then ask a meaningful question. Follow the interesting detail. Share something related. Then connect through common interests, emotions, or experiences. You can use this formula almost anywhere. At work, at school, at a letters party, at a restaurant, at a networking event, online, with friends, with strangers. Now let us talk about practice. Communication is a skill. You will not become great simply by watching videos about communication. You need to practice. Start with small conversations. Say hello to someone. Ask a coworker about their weekend. Talk to a neighbor. Ask someone about their hobby. Practice listening without interrupting. Practice asking follow-up questions. Practice remembering names. Practice putting your phone away. Each conversation is training. Do not expect yourself to become amazing immediately. You will make mistakes. You may say something awkward. You may forget what you wanted to say. You may experience silence. That is okay. You are learning. The more conversations you have, the more comfortable you become. Now let us imagine what happens when you practice these skills for several months. You enter a room. You are no longer terrified of talking to people. You know how to start. You know how to ask questions. You know how to listen. You know how to tell simple stories. You know how to handle silence. You know how to show interest. You stop trying to impress everyone. Instead, you focus on connecting. People begin to notice. They feel comfortable around you. They start conversations with you. They remember you. They trust you. And eventually, you become the person that people naturally want to talk with. Not because you became the loudest person. Not because you became the funniest person. Not because you learned some secret trick. But because you learned how to make people feel heard and valued. That is the real secret. People may forget exactly what you said, but they often remember how they felt when they were around you. Did they feel respected? Did they feel heard? Did they feel comfortable? Did they feel judged? Did they feel ignored? Did they feel important? You have the power to influence that experience. So from today, stop asking, how can I become more impressive? Start asking, how can I become more interested? Stop asking, what should I say? Start asking, what can I learn? Stop worrying about being perfect. Focus on being present. Stop trying to win every conversation. Focus on understanding. Stop waiting for people to approach you. Take the first small step. Say hello. Ask a letters question. Listen, smile, and let the conversation develop naturally. Now let us summarize the key lessons from this video. Lesson number 1. Be genuinely interested in people. Curiosity makes conversations easier. Lesson number 2. Listen more carefully. Do not simply wait for your turn to speak. Listen to understand. Lesson number 3. Ask open questions. Questions that invite stories create deeper conversations. Lesson number 4. Use follow-up questions. You do not need endless topics. Explore the details already present in the conversation. Lesson number 5. Balance asking and sharing. A conversation should feel like a two-way exchange. Lesson number 6. Remember names and small details. People appreciate being remembered. Lesson number 7. Use natural eye contact and positive body language. Your attention communicates respect. Lesson number 8. Do not fear silence. A few seconds of silence is completely normal. Lesson number 9. Learn to tell simple stories. Share experiences without making every story too long. Lesson number 10. Use humor naturally. Do not force jokes or embarrass other people. Lesson number 11. Avoid constant negativity and gossip. People are naturally attracted to warmth and trust. Lesson number 12. Respect different opinions. You can understand someone without agreeing with them. Lesson number 13. Build emotional intelligence. Pay attention to feelings, tone, and body language. Lesson number 14. Become more curious about life. Read, learn, experience, and explore. Lesson number 15. Do not copy someone else's personality. Become a better version of yourself. And finally, remember that becoming a great conversationalist is not about talking more. It is about connecting better. You do not need to become the most interesting person in the room. You need to become the person who makes other people feel comfortable being themselves. That is a powerful skill, and it can change your relationships. It can help you make friends. It can improve your career. It can help you build stronger connections. It can make networking easier. It can increase your confidence. And it can make everyday life more enjoyable. Imagine how different your life could feel if you were no longer afraid to talk to people. Imagine walking into a room without wondering who will judge you. Imagine being able to start a conversation naturally. Imagine being able to talk to strangers. Imagine being able to listen deeply. Imagine making people feel comfortable. Imagine leaving conversations knowing that you made a positive impression. You can develop these skills. You do not need to be born charismatic. You need practice. Start today. Have one conversation. Ask one better question. Listen a little more carefully. Put your phone away. Remember one detail. Give one sincere compliment. Share one simple story, and then do it again tomorrow. Small improvements become natural skills, and natural skills become confidence. One day you may realize something surprising. You are no longer thinking about what to say. You are simply talking. You are listening. You are laughing. You are connecting. That is when communication becomes natural. And that is when people begin to enjoy being around you. So remember the most important message from this video. You do not become someone everyone wants to talk with by trying to make everyone like you. You become that person by learning how to make people feel comfortable, respected, heard, and valued. Be curious. Be present. Be kind. Listen carefully. Ask meaningful questions. Share your own experiences. Respect differences. Stay authentic. And never stop learning about people, because every person you meet has a story. And sometimes the most interesting conversation begins with one simple question. Tell me more about that. Thank you so much for staying with me until the end of this video. I truly hope this video gave you something valuable that you can use in your daily life. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Your subscription and support give me motivation to continue creating more valuable videos about communication, confidence, personal growth, mindset, and self-improvement. And if you know someone who struggles with conversations or wants to become more confident around people, share this video with them. Maybe this simple lesson can help them change the way they communicate. Remember, you do not need to become someone else. You only need to become a better communicator. Listen more. Ask better questions. Be genuinely interested. Make people feel valued. And most importantly, be yourself. Thank you for watching. Keep learning. Keep growing. Keep connecting. And I will see you in the next video.